next? Yeah, who's next? Who'll ride a greyhound all night long, stand in line for hours just to sing one song? Who's flat broke?
Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. As a matter of fact, that's why we called it the C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business, C.L.I.M.B. See, you're going to need it. You're going to need leverage to get your deal. They're not going to sign you because you got amazing talent, you got amazing songs, and you're the most awesome performer on the face of the planet that makes Axl Rose or David Lee Roth or one of those kinds of guys look like they don't know what they're doing. It won't matter. You need to have an audience. You got to have cash flow. That means leverage so that you can work your way into getting that deal. They're going to buy a small business. That's what you're going to find out on this podcast here. So that the acronym was put together by a wordsmith, a genius, a master. His name is Brent Baxter. He's the co-host and also a hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And the coolest thing about him is he helps you, the songwriter, turn pro by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. And you can find Brent really easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound, and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves, and so you can get paid. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing all right. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you on Facebook much today as of this recording. Anything going on there? That maybe, it's really odd in the whole Daredevil or the C.L.I.M.B community. You've not been very visible, John. Anything going on there that we should know about?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's I was unfairly accused of something. I really am clueless as to what it is, but I posted 3 pictures in the C.L.I.M.B community.
Whoa, family show.
And they were awesome pictures. Okay, one family was, show. And this is like, because I want to post them so y'all can see them, but one was a picture from 1976 of Paul and Linda McCartney, along with David Gilmour, in like t-shirts and stuff, at a Stones concert, and just from the angle, it looks like they're in the frickin' crowd. Like they're just hanging out with everybody else, waiting for the Stones to come on. It was really interesting, right? Oh. And then another picture was a picture from 1993 of black and white of Bono and Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's like lighting a cigarette, right? So his hands are cupped around the end of the cigarette where the flame is lighting. It just looks like badass, you know? And then the third one is my favorite. From 1959, it's a picture of Waylon Jennings and Buddy Holly in a New York photo booth, dude. Like, just like goofing off in a photo booth together. Like, it's just so, I've never seen that image. I was like, holy cow, you guys are going to love this.
Yeah.
So I post that, and then I get a message saying that somehow they think I might be breaking the rules of the community. And I'm like, hold on, it's my community. Whose rules? Like, I'm the one that, after all this talk, we're talking about ushering people to the door, and I get busted. Like,
yeah, they put you in Facebook prison for what they said 6 days while they check on it.
6 days, yeah. Like, and I, it asks you if you think it's a mistake. I'm like, I think it's a mistake. They don't take any other information from you, and you're just telling me. We just found out tonight when we're working on this podcast that you can't see those pictures. I can still see them in my feed on the C.L.I.M.B community feed. Yeah, I can see what I posted, but you can't see any of them. So that's interesting. I don't know. I honestly, God, I don't know what happened, but you know what? Here's the lesson. And by the way, I appreciate all the support out there because I can read the feed, so I can see all the stuff you're saying. And there's a couple of times where I forget that I'm in the feed because I can post on my personal page. I can post on Daredevil Production page and all my artist pages, but I can't post in the C.L.I.M.B community or any other community. I can't post in yours. I can't post in Wade's. I can't post on anybody's. And I forget that I'm in there, and I'm like, I was going to respond to some stuff, and it keeps telling me like, no, you're still in jail. Back to the basement. Go get the
Step
chain.
away from the keyboard.
That's right. So, kind of weird. I mean, I'm supposed to be the social media guru. I don't know what the heck happened. It's the most random, crazy thing. And but hey, guess what? What if that was like right before a CD launch and you're the artist, and they just, because there's no reason that I can think of to, because those pictures are from a community called on Facebook called
is it Classic Rock?
Classic Rock in Pics. That's the community. Classic Rock in Pics, Pics, and they've got some killer images there that are just like fascinating. You know, I stumble across this stuff every day in my line of work, and sometimes I go down a rabbit hole. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this! Oh my gosh, look at this! Oh my gosh, look at this! and so I just shared them from there. That's all I did. And boom, like no, I don't know. I have no idea what it is.
So, you know, what you said earlier, like, hey, you know, you've been, whatever, you might have broken the rules of the community. You're like, hey, whose community is this? This is my community.
Yeah.
No, Johnny.
Yeah.
It is not your community.
It's Facebook's community. At the
it
end
is
of the day.
Facebook's community.
That's exactly
and
right.
they just reminded you.
That's exactly right. So you know what, guys? You got to own the information. I mean, we've got an episode on that. I recommend you go back and listen to it.
The lesson here is, that's why you don't want to build your house on rented land. You don't want to build your house on land that you don't own. If Facebook is the only way that you have to communicate, or Instagram or Twitter is the only way that you're communicating and can reach your fans, what happens if you share a cursed Paul McCartney pic, and all of a sudden they shut you down because they're like, no, the real Paul is dead. He died in whatever, you know, the conspiracy thing, and they shut you down.
Yeah.
And now you can't reach your people. You need to have the email addresses.
It's insane. And this thought just came to me. What if you didn't have access to the C.L.I.M.B community because, like, maybe I'm the only host on the podcast or something? Mm-hmm. Then nobody would know what the hell's going on. And it would seem like for 6 days, like I just didn't give a crap and I wasn't engaging with anybody. And how much, like, momentum, energy, interaction would I lose in those 6 days if I didn't have you to come in and say, here's what happened, and people had an answer as to why I'm going to be absent for I don't know how long. You know, they told me 6 days, like, and I hope it's less than that. I hope they're figured out and they're like, this is stupid. Like, just let the boy back in.
Right.
You don't
the
know.
boy just wants to rock and roll.
Yeah, I just want to rock.
Just let Johnny rock and roll.
Just want to share some images, man. Like good images, like killer, like compelling images.
I know. For once, you weren't up to anything bad.
Yeah.
And then they catch you.
Exactly. It's the only time that I really wasn't up to something nefarious. But anyway, so this episode, guys, we're going to get into a very topical subject right now. Wrote a blog on it, and I want to share it on the podcast. Cash Me Outside, Girl, the record deal from Atlantic Records. If you're not aware of this and you've been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks, this 14-year-old girl who talks like she's from the ghetto, okay, and just sounds thuggish, extremely unintelligent. I don't know what other terms I could use to kind of describe her, but she was on a Dr. Phil episode.
That is pretty much all the description we need to write.
There you go. So
it's only because Jerry Springer was not available.
That's right. So, I mean, there's a part of me that wondered because of that, because on that note, like Jerry Springer, like I've had a couple friends that I used to play when we played the Milwaukee circuit in the band. That's when Jerry Springer was happening back then. And they were on Jerry Springer like 2 or 3 different times, playing 2 or 3 different people. That was a scripted kind of reality show, right? It was all BS. And but this girl's 14, like, and she's selling it, man. Like, I think she's really that stupid.
And she was on there as what, like a bad
It was her and her mom. She's a bad kid, right? And so her mom's like, you see, Dr. Phil, this is all mouth right here. And so she's like, what? All mouth? Cash me outside. How about that? And like, what?
And I'm
cash me
just
outside.
thinking,
How about
do
that?
I have a cash register?
Yeah.
Do I owe you money?
Yeah. And so she's like, her
I'm
mom's
old.
like, what that means? Because Dr. Phil's looking at her like, I don't even, like, what language is he speaking?
I speak Texan. I'm Dr. Phil, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Cash me out Yeah.
He's looking at her like, what? And her mom's
you
like,
at a
no,
casino?
that means like you're going to go outside. And she's going to do what she has to do to that. And so then she goes and she like basically threatens to beat up her mom. And Dr. Phil's got to tell her to sit down. And it just, because it was so crazy, right? Like there's a million, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but there's a million like things that went through my mind, like with the mom, with the daughter, like, are you kidding me? Like, my dad was a Marine. That crap didn't happen in my household, man.
Yeah, right.
If it happened, it happened once. It was at a young age, and I learned, like, okay, got it. This is not okay. But after that episode, that clip goes viral. Mm-hmm. And then she gets a record deal on Atlantic. And she's got songs that are dropping. And she's been hanging out with lots of stars, and all of a sudden, you know, so the reaction in the artist community is what I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. I mean, what was some of the stuff you saw, Brent? And then I'm going to tell you what I saw.
As far as the news or the reaction to the news?
The reaction to the news. The
reaction to the news is basically, I'm mostly just negative from artists going, how in the world did this junk get a record deal and real artists can't?
Yeah.
Like, that's the death of the music business. What the heck is going on? Atlantic is sold out. All they care about is money. This is ridiculous. This is not about art, that kind of stuff.
That's exactly it. So and everybody's, they're feeling jealous. They're feeling entitled. That should be me, not for you, as if she took the last record deal that was available and it should have been yours, but it's hers. Right. And so here's my response to that. Like, this, in my opinion, I see this as a positive. Like, it's crazy as that sounds. Like, do I think that this girl has anything that I would consider listening to? No, I don't like her art, if you want to call it art. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I don't like this car wreck, this train wreck, whatever it is that people wants to see. I think she's a moron. I have like zero respect for this girl. Like, nothing. Like, she can't speak intelligently, and I just think you're an idiot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's, and clearly, her first single's called Those Hoes or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, and she goes by the name Bad Baby.
Bad Baby, yeah, that's her.
With H's.
So,
yeah. To
me, here's what happened. Like, so let's address, like, because I think you nailed all the points I want to talk about, right, in that one response that you get. But first of all, like, the Atlantic's just all about the money now. They don't care about, they've always been about money. It's always been a business. Mm-hmm. Right? But the business used to be structured in such a way, and they used to make the kind of money that would afford them the ability to be a little bit more invested in the art, not just the business, because they would go out and they would find young guys like Bruce Springsteen in 1973 and give them a deal. And his first record would come out and it would bomb and it would lose a lot of money, but the critics liked it. And his second record would come out and that really didn't do very well, but it did better than the first record, and they would lose a lot of money. And then they saw that Bruce was getting it together, and then Born to Run comes out, and then he's off to the races, right? Mm-hmm. And they would go sign John Bon Jovi. Same thing, right? First record comes out. It went gold. It didn't do bad, but it didn't make their money back. They were in the hole, like most bands were in the hole after the first record. Like 99.9% of artists are in the hole after the first record, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody was Guns N' Roses or Alanis Morissette. And then or Def Leppard, same reason. I mean, I can go on and on and on, like with just about any artist. Like they took the time to develop the artist because they could afford to do that. They were getting the 2017 equivalent of in distribution. Remember, they're selling to distribution. So we were buying records back in the 70s and the 80s for the 2017 equivalent of around $30 a record. Mm-hmm. If you include the inflationary calculator, how much money's devalued.
Yeah.
Right? But record labels would be selling that for half price to the record stores, to Musicland, to Tower Records, to your local record store in your town, whenever you're growing up, whatever. So that's like $16 million a record gross that they're getting. And you sell 1 million records, $16 million.
Not bad.
Not bad, right? So, you could break even on a platinum record, or you could make some money on a platinum record. But you're losing money on a couple $100,000 in sales when it's taken $2, $3, $4, $5 million to really push a band if you go, 2-3 singles in, right? Mm-hmm. because all that radio push and everything's costing money, the tour, blah, blah, blah. Especially on a new artist, when you're paying to get on the tours, you're having to float the bus, the playing cost, the musician, everything, everybody's on salary. Like, it's just costing a fortune for that first record, right? And there's no cash coming in. So it's always been about the money for them, but they were more involved in the art in the old music business because they could afford to be, but now they're not. Now they're not. So you thinking that you're going to make a demo with your amazing art and your amazing voice, and maybe you've got a great stage show, and that they're going to sign you based on your talent is the same as you going to IHOP and being pissed off that they didn't change your oil while you're eating your pancakes. It sounds ridiculous, but that's been going on this isn't new. That's been going on for over 15 years. That, very, very few artists have been signed on their talent alone, and a bunch of those artists you've never even heard about because they were shelved. Why? Because they didn't have an audience. So if somebody with those hoes, with this little amount of talent can get a record deal and get the kind of push that she's going to get, and be treated like a rock star, which I think is what half the people want anyway, right? They just want to pretend they're rock stars. Just because they have an audience. Then imagine if you just absorbed the fact that you need an audience, and that when you get an audience big enough, you too can get a record deal, but your art would be different.
Right. And that's the thing. It wasn't... Let's talk about the audience, because it wasn't just that Bad Baby had her 15 minutes of fame. She was on Dr. Phil, and then it was a viral video, and then it was gone. No, she's got some platform.
She's got 11.3 million followers on Instagram.
11.3 million
followers on Instagram.
That's a lot of eyeballs.
That's insane.
That's what did it. Right?
Yeah, that's what did it.
I mean, there's some viralness to it. They knew just signing her was going to be a story. So you get all this free publicity, because guess what? Who talking about it? We are talking about it. But when did we see it? We saw it all over Facebook. We saw it all over these places. So they get all this for free.
All right, guys. So here we are. This is another little pull-out section of Social Tune-Up from the C.L.I.M.B podcast. And what happens here is, if you'd like me to take a quick look at your social media, we're going to try to wrap this up in 5 minutes and just go down and tell you some of the things that are looking good and some of the things that you can improve on. If you were my artist, this is what we would be doing with your social media. If you'd like that kind of feedback, send your links to info@daredevilproduction.com. Once again, production is singular. There is no S. In all capital letters in the subject line, please put social media tune-up so it gets into the right folder. And then I'm going to take some time here in every one of my episodes, and we're going to go through everything. So today we have Jay Stott. He sent me links to his Twitter account, his Instagram account, and his Facebook account. And so Twitter is twitter.com/JGSTOTT. Facebook is facebook.com/JGSTOTT. And Instagram's slightly different. The link is instagram.com/JGSTOTT music. JG Stop Music. So right off the bat, he's got Twitter is definitely Jay's main best platform. He's got 6,048 followers. And just a couple things I liked about his Twitter account was he's definitely DJing a lot of information, Jay. So I would say that would be a regular thing that I wish upon we try to accomplish as much as we can. So maybe 75% of your tweets should be retweets from something else. Like, that's what I mean by DJing. You're out, you follow a few accounts that you like the kind of content that they're putting out, and it resonates with you, so you retweet it. And then 25% of your content, you want to be original custom content for you. On that, I would say a couple things here. So he's hats off, first of all, to Jay for having a squeeze page. He's got a squeeze page that's set up. He's giving away a free download in exchange for some information, and he's trying to make it happen like that. A couple things that are wrong with this situation, though, that you can tweak, Jay, and you'll get a lot better conversion rate, brother. Number one, you've got on the squeeze page, you're like, here's get a free download. You're not making it about them in your language. You just have to tweak your language on what we call a call to action. When you want them to click something and download something, or if you want them to click something and go somewhere else, then you need to make it about them. So instead of saying, here's a free download, say you put a little message in there, like, wow, thanks so much for the love on Twitter. I can't believe we're over 6,000. I want you guys to have a free I want to do something for you now. Here's a free download of whatever of my last single, and then put the link in there. Okay. The next thing is, if you click on that link and you go to the squeeze page, you've got your conversion rate is probably very low because you've got all those what I call the big, mean, ugly white boxes. And people have to immediately go in right away, and they're afraid to give you their email address. So what you want to do, if you go to giftfrommark.com, giftfromjohnny.com, giftfrombrent.com, giftfrombailey.com, giftfrommia.com, those are all squeeze pages of my artists, or me or Brent, and you can see they all look pretty much the same. Like there's one button on there, it gets them to say yes first. Yes, I want to download that song. And then the boxes pop up, and I would only have like really 2 boxes. I don't think that's the time to ask for too much information, because this is a really sort of initial handshake. You don't know them that well. Instead of saying, give me your email address, just tell them, hey, just tell us where to send it. Click this button and tell us where to send it. And you don't want to use the word email address because that turns people off, like cancer or AIDS or something like that. You really want to, get them to move forward and give you that information.
Or Trump, judging by Jay's feed, is one of those words that turns him off. Just sharing. Anyway.
So the other part is like you're trying to direct people to your YouTube channel with some of the covers. Love that you're doing covers. Think that's cool. But again, it's the language. I would eliminate the words check it out or check me out from your vocabulary forever. Okay? Because it comes off as very narcissistic. Like why would I want to check you out? Why do I care? Like it's about you, it's not about them. So you want to twist that around and do something a little bit different. So the other aspect is the cover that I clicked on, the latest one that you put up there, was a cover of a Steve Earle song. So that is not going to get you into growth. Like you can probably slay that cover. I didn't look at the cover. I haven't listened to what you did. I'm sure you did a killer job on it. But where's the traffic coming from? Who's going to be looking for that song? What you want to be doing is getting into the songs that are dropping on Friday and putting your version of that song on those new songs and working on that and trying to get it up on Friday, if not on Saturday, trying to be as quick as you can about that. And then you're going to get a bunch of people coming through that traffic and wanting to see it. So when you post the name of the song, it's going to be a video they haven't seen yet. They're going to be more compelled to jump over from Twitter, by the way. Okay. On Instagram, 478 followers. Actually really like your Instagram feed, Jay. I think it looks pretty cool. It's definitely all about Colorado. He's a Colorado artist. And there's all kinds of, there's some Red Rock stuff in there. There's tickets to go see Ed Sheeran. You see a picture of that. You see some pictures of his album covers, different places that he plays, him with some of the instruments and stuff. So I really like that. I think you get some decent pictures on there. I would definitely do more calls to action on Instagram. So you may not be aware, but in Instagram stories, you can do a live video and put a link on there. So you can tell people, hey man, I'm just getting into Instagram. This is so cool. I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to make your acquaintance. I want to do something cool for you. So here is a free download of my song. And you can actually put that link in there where normally you could only put it in the bio. On Instagram, you can now put it on your stories and they can jump right through. So that might be a way that you can build that up. And I can see what you're doing, by the way, for your growth on Twitter. Jay is definitely If you guys look at that, you can see that he's following just a few, maybe 1,000 accounts less than what is following him back. So I can tell that he's aggressively out following people to get them to follow him back, which is what we do here at Daredevil. We're loving them first. We're shaking hands with them first, and that same exact formula works on Instagram. So that's killer. And then on Facebook was actually where I discovered that you did the Steve Earle cover. So my comments there, I mean, Facebook actually looks pretty decent to me. But I think and you're smart, I see that you're putting the YouTube link on Facebook as opposed to like a live video, which they're going to shut you down if you do that because they don't have the back end to make sure that the writers are getting paid for the performance. So you always want to put a link to your YouTube channel on Facebook. But again, like you just need to choose videos that are going to have a bunch of people looking for those videos. Otherwise, the only people that you're servicing with like a Steve Earle cover are going to be the people that already are subscribed to your YouTube account, the people that are already on your social media, that are already aware of you. Now, that can be a good strategy in the as far as consistency, because you got to be consistent with it. So if there's a Friday when you just can't make it happen, or you're traveling and you have like, let's say 3 or 4 covers like Steve Earle stacked up, already done in YouTube that are just unlisted so nobody can see them except for you. And then when you have that time when you just can't get that new one done, maybe you're sick or something, who knows, that's when you just make one of those public. You put that out. That's not a video that's going to get you into growth, but it is a video that is going to keep it consistent and keep them coming back for more. Because I'm sure you're doing a great job at that, but nobody's going to find it. That's it, you know, except for the people that are already aware of it. So there you go. That's my social tune-up for Jay Stott. So thanks, Jay, for sending that in, and back to the show. And guess what? Okay, so let's go back to the old music business for a second. If you go and dig on YouTube, you can find interviews with the manager from Alice Cooper. And Al, I think maybe it was Alice Cooper that was talking about him and his manager. He goes, we would just sit around and before I got clean, and we just get loaded and try to think up ways to piss off the middle American parents. Because we knew if we did that the record would sell. Right? Yeah. So we're talking like 1973, and they're doing the same thing. Like they can piss people off enough that everybody's going to be talking about it, and the news is going to do a story about it maybe because it's a light news day, and a couple markets you're going to get this and that. And next thing you know, or Ozzy Osbourne, same thing. So this is like, I think you hit the nail on the head. I bet a month's pay that they're sitting around that boardroom in Atlanta going, we're going to get a lot of heat just from signing. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the story I saw was that, the singles and stuff that just dropping, people aren't buying it, but they're streaming it.
Yeah.
A lot. And the streaming deals for artists are better than they are for songwriters. So they're getting a better cut of that pie, to my understanding. So it actually kind of matters. And they go, okay, so basically that kind of shows me it's a train wreck. People are going to spend money on it, but they're going to go look and check it out. I mean, I clicked because like, I want to hear what this is. And so the stories had some YouTube links, so I turned it on and said, okay, what is this? Okay, yeah, next. But you get enough people doing that streaming, you got some cash coming in. Yeah. And then again, her promoted to 11 million people. Those eyeballs are going to go, what is this going to sound like? The money's the same whether they tune in because what is this going to sound like, as it is, I can't wait for this. This is going to change my life. Spotify don't care. Spotify pays the same either way.
I mean, at 11 million people, 10% is 1.1 million. 1% is 110,000. Mm-hmm. So if you sold 1% of those people a T-shirt...
Yeah.
I mean, that's like that because I'm thinking like that girl's probably, I hope she's from like some ghetto, or I hope she's not like, she's like middle America and talking like that. She sounds, she doesn't sound good. She shouldn't, I don't, here's the point.
It's not about
it's going to be a life-changing amount of money, man, for her. Like, whatever she's selling, it's not going to matter. But because she has an audience, right? Mm-hmm. It's about the audience. And we're all pissed off because you think, like, that, you've worked hard. You feel like you've worked hard enough that you should be getting that deal. And It's not about the art, because there's plenty of artists that you don't like. There's plenty of genres that you don't ever listen to because you're not interested in them. You know, you and I were talking before the show, Brent. I mean, I spent exactly 30 seconds of my life on one episode of Jersey Shore and was like, I felt dumber from watching. I felt stupider. I thought if I didn't pull out, like I was going to lose everything, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, there's all kinds of crap like that makes a lot of money, that catches a lot of eyeballs, but it doesn't mean you got to like it. So it's not like you're being forced to listen to it or whatever. Would you really, let's just get down to brass tacks. What you're really pissed off about is that you think you deserve that deal. And I'm asking you this question. What are you focusing on? You know, you didn't spend your whole life learning how to sing and write songs and be a better performer and stuff like that. I get that. But you're not going to get a shot unless you learn how to market, unless you learn how to get a bigger audience. Period. End of story. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the way it's always been. And the good news is there aren't any more excuses. I mean, to me, like it was kind of funny, Brent, watching people freak out about the Atlantic Records deal, because I'm like, anybody that would be given an Atlantic Records deal right now, most people, it's gonna be a curse for them. Mm-hmm. You know, like if Atlantic Records gives you the deal and you don't have the audience, like your record deal and $2.51 going to get you a venti cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Oh, you think you're upset? You know, someone that says I deserve that deal. Try being the person that signed at Atlantic previous to Bad Baby.
Yeah.
And didn't have an audience. If they could say this person existed that signed, and you know, and they're like, all right, I finally got my deal. I've been gigging around LA, and I've known those people, and it's awesome. I'm about to turn my record in, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, we're gonna get this Bad Baby thing out now, while people are still, their heads are exploding, and they're like, I've been practicing guitar for 20 years.
Yeah, so your stuff gonna wait.
I make people cry when I sing. Yeah, well, that's nice. But no one, you know, really, there's no big hurry because no one knows who you are right now anyway.
And here's what's going to happen. You know what? You're still going to be able to make people cry tomorrow.
Anytime now, so we got to get her out before she die.
Yeah, and you're still going to be able to make people cry tomorrow. So
exactly.
You can wait a little longer, but this is going to happen. You know, that's exactly how they spun that. Like, yeah, she's a total idiot. Don't worry about it. Like, you know what? We're going to make a bunch of money off this. All these resources have to go over here. It'll be next year, though. We're going to bring you out. It's going to be fine until some other Bad Baby comes along.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's the thing, because odds are she's not going to have a career. Or maybe she will, whatever. And that's all besides the point. Thing is, she's getting a shot. Now, the difference, hopefully, for you will be you will build that platform, and you will also build your talent, your work ethic, your business sense, right?
Yeah.
And so, therefore, your talent gets you, or of course, your talent is going to help you build your platform, because you're probably not going to build it off a Dr. Phil appearance where you're acting like a fool. So you're going to build it on a good, you know, you're going to get your platform, and you have your talent, and actually being able to go out there and work and do shows and entertain people. That's going to keep you going.
That's right.
You know, if that platform helps you get that opportunity to knock on that big door, that label, if you want to, it's the talent, the hard work you're putting in that's going to keep you to sustain a career.
Yeah. And look, I mean, a couple of things here I want to point out is, you know, first of all, is that some people get really lucky, you know? And obviously, for you to build up any kind of an audience that's going to be sexy enough for a label to look at you, it's not going to happen with one TV appearance. It's going to take you a lot more work to do that. But on the other hand, I mean, every day she has to wake up and be her. Like, that's the curse, man. Like, you know, and just like, I think the average amount of time for any lottery winner, no matter how big the take is to blow everything, is about a good 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of them end up in bankruptcy and end up,
because they don't know how to deal with money. That's why they don't have money to begin with.
Right.
You know, it's and they got their break, they got their cash, and then they still screwed the pooch. But now it's, you know, times millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Like, it's ridiculous. You know,
now the mistakes have zeros on the end of it. Yeah,
exactly. So they're making the same mistakes, just a lot more costly mistakes, and it doesn't take long before it's all gone. So that's probably what's going to happen with her, right? She doesn't know how to be an artist. She doesn't know how to play that whole game. When everybody's seen the train wreck and we're sick of it, I don't think there's going to be enough substance there to keep anybody interested. But it doesn't matter. The point is that if the way that you feel about that art And the fact that she was able to get a bunch of backing and a bunch of big people behind her should be encouraging to you. Like, just go, there's the code, go and get the audience. Like, it's not going to be one TV appearance for you. You're going to have to systematically and intentionally work to make it happen. But you've got to focus on the crowd. Like, I just had a Facebook exchange with a talented young lady, and doesn't get it.
It wasn't in the climb community, I know that.
Yep, that wasn't there. No. But this is before I went to jail.
Okay.
But it was like yesterday, I think. And I was just like, hey, I just introduced her to the climb. I'm like, there might be some good ideas here. I hope you find some stuff that can help you out, blah, blah, blah. She's like, well, thank you, but I'm not even going to think about marketing until I got to find some people to write some songs with and get this CD done. Mm-hmm. So already, like 3-4 cardinal sins, like she's, how much money she's going to spend on that record. She's not even going to think about marketing because she thinks she's marketing the music. If you think that you have to wait to market until you get your record done to market the music, then that presupposes that what you're marketing is the music, and that's where you're wrong. Mm-hmm. You're not. So what are you marketing? You, the artist. Mm-hmm. You're marketing your story, right? You're marketing your story, and you need to be collecting contact data. You need to be figuring out how can you get that story, and you need to know what the power of a story is. Start researching story branding. There's all kinds of stuff online that's free that you can find, and there's a couple things that aren't free that for a couple bucks, like literally $2-3 for a used book, you can begin to see what I see and see what I'm talking about. Like, this is what makes it interesting, right? The story. And that's what's happening on that. Well, isn't that what they sold on Dr. Phil? She's got some story. She's an out of control kid with a mom who looks like your normal Midwestern housewife that's like, I'm just trying to, at her wit's end. I don't know what to do, Dr. Phil. And that relates to a lot of people who've got out of control kids. That relates to people with kids that aren't out of control. They just feel overwhelmed by their kids, I know you don't know anything about that, Brent, but
not at all. Not at all.
but do you see how the story connected with people? And then, certainly mothers and fathers are going to connect to that to a certain degree because they think their kids are unruly. And all of us get unruly at the teenage years, right? Mm-hmm. There's a whole 8 to 10 year stretch where you think your parents are idiots, and then you start to realize in your early 20s again how smart they are. And certainly the kids who feel disenfranchised by their parents, maybe they don't agree with exactly the way she talks. Maybe they absolutely connect with the way that she talks and communicates, but the whole, it's just all slang. Like cash me outside. How about that? It's like, if you don't read it right, it sounds like gibberish, but, the point is she's relating to a lot of different people on a lot of different levels with that story. That's why it went viral. And it's also... It was
compelling.
Yeah, it was compelling in this sense.
Repelling, maybe? Repelling, but either way, it's compelling.
No, compelling because... Yeah, maybe because it's so repelling, right? I don't know. Like, if that's...
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's eyeballs.
But...
it does matter in the grand scheme of things, but the label doesn't care.
Here's another truth bomb I want to drop on you. They didn't spend $1 million to create that brand name, did they?
No, they did not.
Oh, what? Johnny, we can't get to where we want to go because we don't have any money. Okay. From the looks of it, I don't think she does either. Right. I honestly thought when I first saw that I wondered if it was like a shtick. A la like my friends that were on Jerry Springer, like if this was a hustle. But she's 14. Yeah. Like, if she's 14, and that's an act. She needs to be in the movies. Like, slow clap. That's genius, right?
Okay, I'm on board. You're awesome.
Wouldn't be the first time that's happened, by the way. When we were signed to Warner Brothers, there was this band called LSD, Life, Sex, and Death. That was, by the way, killer band. But the whole shtick was that the lead singer, his name was Stanley, was homeless. He's a homeless guy. And he looked like a homeless guy, and he was all weird and quirky the way he would move and stuff like that. So if you go look on YouTube and look up some of those videos, that's like an alternative rock record. That's one of my favorite records. Like, it's amazing. Like, I love it. But he's really out there, man. And he would stink, like he wouldn't take showers. Like it was like this amazing method, what do they call it? The method acting. Yeah. Turns out he's like an upper middle class, borderline rich kid from the Gold Coast in Chicago. The whole time. Like it was a hustle. And Warner Brothers didn't find that out until they signed the deal. You know what I mean? But it was but the record's like really good. If you haven't heard of this band, it's a great record to listen to. But so they I mean that has happened before, you know. But labels now, guys. Here's the deal. I believe in my heart that Bad Baby, and her real name is Danielle Bergoli. I believe that she wouldn't have been signed back in the day because they were looking for nuggets of talent that they could develop into an artist and make money, and hopefully do business with, right? Because sometimes that talent got unruly and went into this sort of, you know, childhood development state where they're, you know, grown-ass adults and they act like they're 4, you know, like a la Spinal Tap, you know, look, he's in here, it keeps folding, look, there's no one, like how am I supposed to, you know, they're having a meltdown about the catering in the back, you know. But I don't think that I don't think she's a player. I don't think she's an operator. I don't think that I believe in my heart that she's generally that stupid, like and clearly unaware of any kind. She's not receiving any information, right? She's just doing her thing and she doesn't care, whatever. And sometimes we like that in our artists, but that's going to get her into trouble, you know. I don't think she has enough talent to outweigh the lack of intelligence there. But labels have to play the long game in the old days of the music business. And they set up systems for scouting and cultivating artists because it was really expensive for an artist to do it back in the day. But now it's not. It costs money. It's not free. Okay? And your job that you're working at right now, that you're trying to get out of so that you can become a full-time artist, is not free. You think you're making money from that job, but you're spending 40 hours a week or more at that job that you're trading for that. And believe me, time's ticking away, you know? So you just have to understand that you know, labels had a reliable marketing pipeline, radio, music, television networks, all the genres, magazines with circulation to expose these artists. These are the things that really broke an artist and got them in front of new eyeballs and started to create an audience for that specific artist. But all those systems are broken now. And the best system to work on is social media, which you have on your phone now. It's free. You're listening to this podcast on a podcast player on your smartphone. And it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be a rock star, but it doesn't take $1 million, and it doesn't, you need to be smarter than the average bear. You got to focus on what's important, and what's important is the marketing. That's all I got to say about that. So anyway, hey guys, join the C.L.I.M.B community. Believe me, I'll be back at some point. They can't keep me. They can't keep me in. I won't go back to jail.
Nobody puts Johnny in a corner.
Nobody puts Johnny in a corner. That's right. And leave a rating and review. If you like what you hear, please share it. It'll make you cool. If you leave a rating and review, we'll make you famous. And if you need a little push over the edge, if you need some direction on how would I go about beginning to think about assembling this system that I'm going to need to market me instead of my music. The music comes second, the artist comes first. That can be a little daunting. Hey, give us a call when you're feeling enough pain. We can schedule a one-on-one consulting session. You can reach out on my email at info@daredevilproduction.com. Once again, production is singular. There is no S. And we'll schedule a call. We do charge for that, but it's very reasonable, and the amount of information that you're going to get is going to turn your whole world around. So, anybody that's done it, I promise you it's going to be worth it. So with that, guys, listen, it's about the audience. That's the leverage that you're going to bring to the table. One of the reasons we created this podcast, and we want you to keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.